with me, man.
F-A into the G, yeah, baby, the O, yeah.
You watch what you say. Fake dudes don't look my way. Yeah, you stay where you may.
F-A into the G, yeah, baby, the O.
Watch what you say. Fake dudes don't look my way. Easy, I know where you stay.
F-A into the G.
What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate reverse rants, no hate. Now, let me jump right into this video. So, I did a video, and the video is talking about the comparisons, okay, as to when a fighter that knows how to box loses a fight and he has to add something to his game versus a fighter who's one-dimensional, okay? And I broke down those differences in there. So let me say this in this video, because you know, one of the things that people are not understanding about themselves, okay? You're speaking from a fan standpoint, okay? When I speak, I'm speaking as a fighter, as a trainer, okay? As someone who deals with logic and reason, not about fanboy stuff. I don't care how you feel about fighters that I like more than other fighters or whatever. I could care less about that. Okay, like I said, I will challenge your logic, not your reason for liking a particular fighter. But when you speak and you don't make sense, okay, think about this. Because I just had a little convo with someone who I don't feel like they was trying to be disrespectful or anything like that. Because if they was, I wouldn't even, you know, it'd be different. What I'm saying would be completely different from what I'm about to say. Okay, let me say this. You guys, again, are speaking from a fan standpoint. Now, let me break this down. Someone said to me, because I said, you know, Deontay Wilder, he needs the things that he needs to learn, not to just beat Fury, but to beat any of these top elite level guys. The things that he's going to need to learn, now especially starting with this Fury fight, if it was to actually happen when they're saying it's supposed to, it's too much. I feel that it's too much to learn in this short amount of time. What people seem to forget about, you know, you guys look at a fight, okay? You know how many days go by before actual fight? So if somebody has 50 fights, that's 50 days of their life on film, okay? Are you considering the training, all the sparring, all the wear and tear on your body? Do you understand the will to have to keep going? When you're training a certain way, a lot of times we see people, they get stuck in that bubble. This is just who they are, what they are. Okay? I'll give you an example. A lot of times, I remember watching, you know, James Kirkland. And I'm like watching him, and people was, yo, that kid is good. And when I'm looking at him, I'm thinking, he can punch, he likes to scrap, but he has no defense. He's easy to hit, and he makes fights harder for himself. He smothers his own punches, and that's just his style. Okay, if he's cool with that, whatever, then so be it. But you can't, you know, look, changing trainers and all that don't mean nothing if you're not doing the things you need to do in that ring. Your trainer can't fight for you. Now, listen at what was said to me. What was said was Deontay Wilder doesn't need to improve. He just needs to be the best version of himself. No trainer, okay, no good trainer would ever tell his fighter, you don't need to improve. Just be complacent where you are. So basically, what's the best version of himself? The version that beat all the other guys but couldn't beat Fury? Is that the version you're talking about? Because basically, if he goes in there and fight Fury with the same stuff he had before, unless Fury goes in there and just loses focus and do something stupid, in all honesty, Fury's going to destroy him. He cannot beat Fury with what he already has. He's shown it already. And Fury realized, you see the difference between the two fighters? Deontay went into the second fight doing the same shit he did in the first fight. Fury realized, I can back this guy up and walk him down. Fury might come into the third fight, if the third fight ever happens, with something completely different. And when you have that ability to switch gears, you're always going to be leaps and bounds over your opponent. Why? Because that one thing that they're good at, they're going to have to do it to death and keep doing it. Let me give you an example. Joe Frazier was able to give Muhammad Ali the best fights of his life, but he was no challenge for George Foreman. Muhammad Ali was able to beat George Foreman. Do you understand? Because Ali had that something extra. Joe only knows how to fight one way. So if that one thing that he's great at doesn't work, Joe doesn't have a second gear, a third gear. You understand what I'm saying? So you need to know, look, Sugar Ray Leonard, he lost to Duran the first fight because he fought the wrong fight. He realized that. I let my temper get to me. I fought the wrong fight. Let me do what I know I need to do in this particular fight. Every fight is different, man. He went in there and made it look like Duran don't even belong in a ring with me. Okay? Thomas Hearns was outboxing Ray Leonard, and Ray got the knockout in the first fight. He won. Roberto Duran, who gave Marvin Hagler hell, gets knocked out in 2 rounds by Hearns. Marvin Hagler destroys Thomas Hearns. You know, so there's no such thing as, oh, he doesn't need to improve. You never become complacent. You never, ever become complete. Who the fuck, think about this. Who teaches anybody, okay, to do something average? Do you tell your kids, just go to school and just try, and whatever happens, happens? Or do you encourage them to do better? I'm not going to press you that every grade you bring home has to be an A, but I'm going to tell you, you need to focus and don't settle for having to be average or just a passing grade. Learn what you need to learn so you can improve. You never tell a fighter he doesn't have to improve. That was a wrong, terrible choice of words. He doesn't have to improve. He just has to be the best version of himself. What's the best version of himself? You know, what's the best version of himself? So imagine telling Joe Frazier that when he's fighting against George Foreman, I am the best. This is the best version of me. But against Ali, it was different. Against, let's look. Ernie Shavers and Muhammad Ali fought. Shavers got the older version of Muhammad Ali. Okay? I'm still great, but not nearly what I used to be. Okay? Ken Norton had 3 tough, hard fights with Muhammad Ali. What happened when Shavers and Norton fought? Shavers destroyed him. What happened when Norton fought against Foreman? Foreman destroyed him, but he was able to give Ali styles, make fights. But when you have that extra, that's the point of what I'm saying. When you can go to that next gear and your opponent can't, more than likely, unless you lose focus, you're gonna win every time. Simply because you had that ability. So here's what I'm saying. When Deontay Wilder can't land that money shot, or he lands it and that opponent doesn't go down, you can assume, oh, they'll go down. You can all of the fanboy shit is not going to change the facts and the reality. What I'm saying, what's hard about understanding and accepting, he needs to add more to his to his arsenal, because as you go up that ladder and fight the elite competition, it gets tougher. As your body gets older, you don't turn back time. You don't get faster. You don't get stronger. You don't just improve in those areas just because. No, it gets to a point, you're maturing, then all of a sudden it gets to the point where Father Time starts to kick in. Okay? And with the injuries that Wilder's had, that we heard about and all of this stuff, he's 35 now. How much longer do you think about it, the beating that he took from Fury, how much longer do you think Wilder, he's saying he wants to fight until he's 40, but how much longer do you think his body will hold up? Can any of us say that? No, we can't, right? Even he doesn't know that. So at some point, realize the other competition, like I said before, Wilder's not studying Daniel Dubois. Daniel Dubois is studying Wilder. F.A. and Jamba, all these guys, they're studying Wilder. And when you don't have a second and third gear, and these guys are watching you, somebody will come in and destroy you. And you know what? The person that beats you might not be the people who we think it is. It might not be the Anthony Joshua. It might not be Tyson Fury again, or Dillian White. It might be a Daniel Dubois. It might be somebody new that just comes out and is like, damn, this dude came in here and smoked this guy. So when you say that, see, this is part of the problem. Anytime someone says that Wilder needs to add more to his arsenal, people get in their feelings and start talking as a fan, and they always want to make excuses. Oh, but what he's done so far was phenomenal. See, that's part of the problem. He's become complacent, and so have you guys. This is why when someone says he needs to add to his arsenal, you guys get so bent out of shape, because it's like, what don't you understand? The guy is limited. He's limited. And he showed against Fury, I don't know what to do when I'm in a situation where somebody's bringing a fight to me. Now, what you guys are saying is only Fury can do that. AJ can't do that. This guy can't. How the fuck do you know that? If you're going to fight elite level competition, okay, you got to understand, just like Efe Anjama saying he's better than Anthony Joshua. No, not fighting those meatballs that you're struggling with. You're nowhere near as good as Anthony Joshua. You're not as good as Deontay Wilder. You're not as good as Fury. You're not as good as Joseph Parker. I've said this already. Saying all of this shit so Efe Anjama fans can sit there and say the same shit and get mad and want to defend him and say, oh, but he's this and he's that. What has he done? He's fought guys who basically, let's be real, are on a shit level right now. He's struggling with these guys. So how the hell are you going to challenge? You shouldn't even say Deontay Wilder's name. You shouldn't say Anthony Joshua's. You shouldn't say any of these guys' names. The only thing Efe Anjama would have against these guys is a puncher's chance. Here's the crazy thing. As long as Deontay Wilder has been in boxing with his limited skills, the first real test that he had, an elite fighter. Listen to me, okay? Ortiz was no fucking elite level fighter. He's no elite level fighter. He was just the best of the guys that Deontay fought at that point. He's never won a championship. He's never been nothing but a contender. And basically, the guy was winning both fights easily until he got dropped, got knocked out. The point is Deontay won. But that's the thing. Because Deontay has that right hand, he feels like he doesn't need to add this shit. When he said, back to basics, what do you think the guy was talking about? He knows he's not doing what he's supposed to do. Mark Breland sat there and said, I try to teach him how to, work off it. I want him to use his jab more movement, but okay, that's the whole thing. You ran into a guy for the first time in Fury, but you and everybody believe that right hand is magic. When that right hand failed him, what did he have to depend on? So now the excuse about the gloves, all this bullshit and all the cheating, all this dumb shit. Look, the man, if he's going to go into this third fight, he's not going to beat Fury if he's still the same fighter he was in that second or first fight. Just like how we talk about Rolly Romero, we saw him sparring with Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, but you can see Rolly Romero is still the same. Those guys improved. If he fights them right now, he loses. The only way he can beat them is if he lands something and get him out of there. Otherwise, they'll tear him up, man. And so this is no different for Wilder, no different for anybody. I've said it a million times. AJ can fucking box. So this is what helped AJ to be able to go in there and fight the way he needed to beat Ruiz. Do you think that it matters? Because you guys are sitting there, all he did was run and make excuses and all this dumb shit. Look, Deontay has one gear. Mike Tyson had one gear, but Mike Tyson was skilled. Mike could slip shots, roll under your shots, counter, make you miss, make you pay, knockout power with either hand. Deontay Wilder doesn't have all of that. He has no. We already know the things he don't have. So for somebody to say he doesn't need to improve, he just needs to be the best version of himself. What is the best version of himself? What is that? Like I said, the version that beat everybody else but couldn't beat Fury. Simple. That makes zero sense. You don't ever teach a person to, just go out there and see what happens. You never teach a fighter that. You never teach yourself that. You're always looking at something. Okay, when I throw that jab and I pivot off, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna keep this hand like this so I can slide and come over when they can. Whatever. You're always looking at something to add. That's how you stay sharp. Whenever you think, oh, I'm just gonna keep doing the same thing. Yeah, at some point you're gonna run into somebody who figured you out. That's the wrong thing to say. He doesn't need to improve. What fighter doesn't need to improve? If that's the case, if AJ didn't improve, he would have went in there and got beat again. What fighter doesn't need to improve? Dillian White just got knocked out. So basically, to say, oh, Dillian White can just do the same things all over again. Okay, right. The same things meaning he can make that same mistake again, right? What fighter doesn't need to improve? When Dylan said that, I didn't agree with that. Oh, I don't need to change anything. Yes, you do, Dylan. And then he wound up saying later, there's about 2 or 3 things I need to change. Whatever those 3 things are, he didn't say, he don't need to. And I don't know if it was the same things I saw, but I saw about 5 or 6 things. I saw several things, put it like that he could actually change. That he might not think is a big deal, or anybody else may not think. But one of those reasons is exactly why he got knocked out. So anytime a fighter says, I don't need to improve, that's like Errol Spence. Errol Spence is a solid fighter, but Errol Spence makes fights harder for himself. That's why, look, why do you think people thought he was going to destroy Sean Porter? Why do you think people thought he was going to destroy Kell Brook? Because of what he did to other people. When he stepped up to stiffer competition, he passed the test, but it wasn't a dominant performance at all. He did what he had to do, and he won. But it's different when you get to the elite guys. So for anybody that says that he doesn't need to improve, he just needs to be the best version of himself, that makes 0 sense. That makes 0 sense. And if you don't see the improvements that he needs to make, you'll see it in the 3rd fight. Or when he fights Anthony Joshua, or he fights another top elite level guy. See, you can go out here and knock out some meatball, and people can say, he's back better than ever, and everybody, yeah, he looked good against a meatball. The same way you'll criticize Daniel Dubois for fighting a guy that you don't know, because he's over there in the UK and he's fighting guys that you don't know, but yet you overlook the skill that this man has, right? You think that people are putting the fighter down. I can care less about what people say about a fighter. It's not about putting the guy down. If we're putting somebody down by speaking the facts about what they can and can't do, well, so be it. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the simple fact that you never ever become complacent. No good trainer would ever teach his fighter to be complacent. No parent would ever teach their kid to be complacent. Just be average. Just accept, failing. Just accept that you can't get over that hump that way, or it is what it is. No, you always teach to push, to be better, to find out what you need to do to improve. So I don't understand what that means. He just needs to be the best version of himself. That just makes no sense to me. What is the best version of yourself? Do I know what the best version of myself is? What the best version of yourself? To the best of your ability, the knowledge that you have of yourself right now, and your ability to do whatever it is that you're doing, right? But you don't want to improve. You don't want to get better than that. That's terrible advice, man. Anyway, look, never fall in love with lies, and understand the truth brings hate out of people. That's all I want to say on this video. I'll catch y'all on the next one.